Hello, my name's Polar Bear and you're watching this on Intrevents.com. Nice one.
Hi Polar Bear, great to see you. Just here to ask you a few questions.
Great.
First of all, what's behind the name Polar Bear?
What's behind the name Polar Bear? I was obsessed with polar bears as a child. I was quite small when I was about 8, getting pushed around a little bit. Saw two things were important, football and wildlife programmes. David Attenborough told me that polar bears have no natural predator except themselves. So basically the only animal on the planet that nothing else hunts apart from polar bears. And you can't. And men kill polar bears when they get too close to stuff. You can't eat polar bear because it's poisonous. So basically, nothing messes with a polar bear. And I was like, right, I should have been one of them.
Have you ever met another polar bear? In terms of your.
In the flesh, a real bear. Only really, really sad ones in the zoo.
Oh,
I would. One day maybe. I don't think it'd probably be that amicable.
All right. What's your inspiration? Earlier when we had a talk from you, you mentioned two artists in particular, De La Soul and A Tribe Called Quest. How have these shaped you, and what else has shaped you?
Okay, it's a big question, eh?
Yeah.
Right, what shaped me? Everything. Where I'm from shapes me the most, I think. I come from Birmingham, but my family come from overseas and kind of came to a place to kind of work, and the whole mentality of less is more, or say what you mean, and it's kind of a bit of a joke reading that because I talk for a living, and they still don't really understand what it is that I do. But in terms of inspiration, the main inspiration is saying what I mean in as few words as possible. And I enjoy listening to people who play with words. And De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, that was just hip-hop that when it kind of first grabbed me, the playfulness of it. And I became a student.
And also I was reading through your blog and you mentioned something about folk music. You quite into folk music? It's not only hip-hop that you listen to.
No, of course not. Of course not. Nobody's one thing. But yeah, the other day I kind of tried to move all my iTunes onto another thing, and I saw that 99% of my work was something like, I don't know, 30 hours out of 31 was hip hop or folk. I like the simplicity of stuff, the kind of the surface level simplicity of stuff, and then there's resonance. People who aren't scared of space, folk musicians aren't scared of space.
Yeah.
And it's just nice, isn't it? Bit of guitar, bit of singing.
And you call yourself a spoken words artist, is that right?
Yeah.
And for you, is this the only form of communication of words that is a possible way to communicate your true emotion?
Definitely not. Definitely not. Of course not.
Do you do other stuff?
Yeah. I write stuff that's meant to be read. I write stuff for other people to speak. I help other people write, things that they want to kind of craft. I've written for radio, done a little bit for TV. I mean, anything, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be words. Anything that you're making says something with a view that you're trying to connect with somebody else, or whether you paint a picture or, I don't know, mould clay, or break buildings for a living. You know what I mean? You're saying something with everything you do, aren't you? That sounded really pretentious, but that's what I mean. That's what I mean. So no is my answer. No, damn it, no.
Alright, and do you see yourself as a poet, a musician? What do you...
I see myself as a writer.
A writer? I
see myself as a writer. Just so happens that the immediacy of me writing and speaking what I've written is the quickest way for me to share an idea. I'm quite impatient when I've got something I want to share. I've never knowingly used the word poet myself.
Okay.
There's something about the stigma of it that I carry, my own chip on the shoulder type stuff, that something goes through me. But I don't mind. It's not like I'm anti it. It just doesn't feel right coming out of my mouth.
So you wouldn't kind of say it's a contemporary form of poetry?
Some people do. I don't argue with them. I guess in terms of what the goal, it depends on what you believe the kind of goal of poetry is. I mean, for me, everyday stuff is poetic, so it's just about capturing stuff and relaying real life, hopefully. So yeah, call it poetry by all means. You probably won't catch me calling it poetry though.
And what are you currently working on now? I'm
working on a new episodic story, which is a cross between Twin Peaks and The Wire, set in a high school academy, which is going to be online in a kind of graphic novel form, and then have a real life incarnation, so there'll be gigs feature. It's basically a multi-character kind of story that's not me talking about...
Huge project, is it?
Yeah, big, but starting small. And something for, I'm writing a story that I'm going to tell for 8 to 12-year-olds about lies, basically the usual suspects for kids.
Yeah. What so far has been the pinnacle of your career? Because you've performed at Glastonbury, it's people's dreams.
Is this people's dreams? Am I living the dream? Yeah, I'm living the dream.
For some people that is.
You can't say that to someone. I'm lucky. I'm lucky that basically when something finishes, somebody else comes to me and goes, "What do you want to do next?" And because it took me a while to realise that I could do this, and this even existed as a form, I've got ideas stacked up that will probably outlive, that I haven't got enough time to live to kind of get them all out. So whenever anyone says, what do you want to do next? It's like, this one, they're kind of waiting. So in terms of a pinnacle, everything has been different. So less of a pinnacle, more what the most satisfying element of it is that everything that I've done, that I've worked on, feels like it's evolved from the last thing. So I don't feel like I just do one thing.
It's just a big work in progress.
Yeah, definitely. And it's nuts, isn't it? You talk and people listen.
Yeah.
What's all that about? That's mental, really, when you think about it. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's like 30 people in a classroom or a couple thousand people on a festival stage. I don't know, you can't control whether they listen or not. You can just do what you do and hopefully they do. But you can feel when people are listening. And that's pretty nuts. So, I don't know. No pinnacle, I don't think.
This is a question that I myself have been quite interested in.
Okay.
When you write,
yes,
and are the first thoughts and the first words that come to you and that you might write down, are they the last ones, or is there an element of refinement in there?
In terms of the last words of a piece, or are they like what comes out is what it ends up being?
Yeah, say you're thinking, you've got your subject matter, you've thought of what you're going to write on. You might come up with a little rhyme. That's the first one you thought, that's one that's going to stay, because that's the most natural.
It might do, if it's good enough.
Yeah.
And if it comes out and then it grows and it becomes clear that the first thing that came out was a bit crap, that'll probably go. I mean, if it's like on a shorter piece, then most of the time they come out in one go. But I'm talking that to the point where I don't really write anything down until I've spoken things that much. So the writing down is just a test of whether I know it. Larger things, I draft and draft. I just finished touring an hour-long monologue, and that ended up being, the final script was like 21 pages typed, but I wrote like 150. Do you know what I mean? So there has to be a world underneath stuff when you're talking for that long. And I take those principles and apply them to shorter stuff now as well, just because I'm a bit of a nerd.
And you've recently tweeted,
have I?
In the last 6 hours, I think it was, different world, same connection. What's this stem from? Is that from being here?
I don't know. I think I got a football in the face and I was just kind of dazed. I mean, yeah, it's just, my job takes me all over the place.
You use that as fuel for your work?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's, well, how can you not be inspired by an idea that's in front of you that you think is good, regardless of who said it? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, when you're around ideas all the time...
You carry a little notebook around or something, like, you think, oh, that's a great idea, I've got to get that. Or is it all up there?
Yeah.
It's all up there?
Yeah. Right. And then, they kind of accumulate. Maybe there's a little... To be honest, the Twitter is that little notebook. Do you know what I mean? So I write things on there that what would have been on a bus ticket a year or two ago is now in the public domain.
Yeah.
And you can't take them back, really. But yeah.
A final question.
Yes.
Do you have any advice for any aspiring writers?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of what? In terms of spoken word, or just writing in general?
Kind of writing in general.
I mean, yeah. Look at what you like, be influenced by it, but don't emulate anything.
Be yourself. Have your own way.
I guess. Not even as kind of broad as just be yourself. I hope you take that for granted anyway. What I mean is, everything you're influenced by will kind of come out in what it is you're kind of doing, but there has to be an element that's not under your control. Don't think about it too much. People are going, right, okay, that sounds like that. Forget it. Spend some time just not looking at anything else and just make it. And hopefully what that is something that hasn't been done.
Is that? I think you said in one of your recitals. Was it when you're talking to your son? You've got to find your own rhyme. Is that right?
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
And you can't force that. And if you're lucky, it happens early on, and you can refine it. If it takes 40 years, it's a fun process. You know.